Hello there everyone, today's video is all about capital gains tax and the new reporting regime in the UK. So if you sell a house, you sell a property, you must report that to HMRC and pay any capital gains tax that's due within 60 days of the transaction. 60 days you've got to pay the capital gains tax. Now that's only been in for a year or so, that new rule, because the old rule said that as long as it was recorded on your tax return and paid by the due date for that tax year, that was all you had to do. You had up to 22 months to pay the capital gains tax, depending on when the gain was. But let's say the gain was right at the start of the tax year in April one year. You had until January the following the year but one to pay it. So that's 22 months later. Then the government sort of cottoned on and said, hang on a minute, there's a bit of a time lag here. Let's change it to be more like stamp duty land tax. We make everyone pay SDLT within 30 days. We'll take the CGT within 30 days. They brought that in. That proved not to be practicable. So they said, look, we'll double it to 60. So 60 days is in right now. That's the rule. And like I said, it's online reporting. So you've got to go online, tell them about the sale of the property, pay the capital gains tax, and then you're supposed to also report it on your tax return at the end of the year. So let's just say within the 60 days you go online, you report it, but you haven't got all the details, maybe all the costs associated with the purchase, which you can put down to reduce the capital gains tax, which is a good thing. HMRC say, look, well, just give us the headline figures. How much you bought it for, what you sold it for, any additional bits and pieces peripheral to the calculation. Even though they may reduce the gain, we're going to let you have a second bite at the cherry down the line on your tax return. So that's how it is. So for argument's sake, let's say you work out an indicative calculation, you pay some capital gains tax, I don't know, say it's 30 grand to HMRC, then you find some old bits of paperwork that you realise that, oh yes, well, you paid stamp duty when you bought the property, you had some solicitor's fees, well that's another few £1,000s, and all of a sudden your 30 grand tax bill that you've worked out comes down to, I don't know, 27, that 3 grand refund, because you've already paid the 30, you would claim back via your tax return. Okay, but what's been happening since they brought in this new rule is that people have been bypassing the online reporting system and just going straight to the tax return, like they've done for decades, putting it on the tax return, saying, yes, sold a property, here's the capital gains tax. But what HMRC have said is, they said, look, that's not acceptable. You've done part 2, but we still need to do part 1 of the process. And they're saying to taxpayers, you've got to go back and do that return that you should have done when you sold it within 60 days, but not online anymore. So if you just bypassed the online bit at 60 days, gone straight and did your tax return, HMRC say now you've got to go back and do a paper return. So a paper return of that online return that you should have done. So it's a right ball ache. So not only have you done a tax return, you're then going to go back and do the paper return you should have done within the 60 days of selling the property. Go figure. And if you don't, they're going to hit you for some penalties and all sorts of nasty things. So, you know, the takeaway here is get the paperwork in the right order. Don't just think when you sell a property you're going to bin off that 60-day reporting requirement and just do everything on your tax return. For goodness sake, do both. Do your 60-day reporting obligations online, pay the tax. Yes, if you need more time to work it out, you then true it up on the tax return. That may involve a refund. But that's how it works. That's how it works. So, paper return in lieu of the online reporting if you missed it and did a tax return. So just an overview there on the property reporting regime now in the UK, the 60-day rule, and what happens if you've missed it. Like I said, go back, you've got to request paper returns. It's not good that you just do the stage 2, as it were. You have to do the stage 1. So if you like this video, please do subscribe, and as always, I'll see you soon.